All right. Well, it is my pleasure to introduce Patrick Smith. Patrick has been an atheist most of his life, but he didn't get involved in secular activism until he joined the secular students at Collin College. He's been a member of SSCC since its formation in the fall of 2010, and he is now its president, he's now its president and has been since the spring of 2011. And he's going to talk to us about organizing at community colleges. Please join me in welcoming back.
I won't throw anything or bite if you guys want to come closer and see.
Come closer.
Come on, be friendly. All right, so you guys can hear me and everything, right?
This close?
Sure, why not? Okay, so, yeah, love to see that there's more than 5 people. Totally thought everybody was going to be getting a job in the movement next door, so this is a good turnout for me. So I have to say I was a bit surprised when Liz asked me to come speak at the convention, because I don't do this. I've never done this. And I figured that there were probably other people who were more qualified to do this, but apparently not, so. And I think actually that addresses one of the points of this, is that we kind of forget about community colleges a lot. I feel like if Liz is asking me to come present this to you, there's a shortage of community college groups to pick from. So, yeah, so this is about organizing at a community college, but also a little bit for university groups to kind of think about how they can, use community colleges in their areas. How many of you have actually attended a community college? Great. How many of you are now actually no longer at that community college at a university? See? If you were to poll the people in your university, you would probably have many more than you think that have been at a community college. So it's important not to forget us community college people. So, start off, I decided to, right before this, look up the official definition of a community college, just so we're all clear. So I went to Wikipedia, and it gave me the obvious. It's any 2-year public institution providing higher education and lower-level tertiary education and other programs. So, just so we're all on the same page. So my first, actually, we've already kind of talked about where I come from. I've been at my community college, by the way, for an embarrassing 6 semesters. And I've been running this group for 3? Yeah. So first things first, in any group, and actually this goes beyond just student groups, but know your environment for your school. And I made this fun little web thing. I actually had a blast making this. But know what is infecting and what is creating your school environment. Know what's going on with the faculty, how your location affects it, how the local culture and facilities that you have, what's going on with the student body, what kind of students you have. This applies also to, any walk of life you go into, career, business, anything. This is the kind of thing you need to know. What your environment that you're working in. And this was just kind of a rough sort of size based on how they affect it, but in my view. But this is going to be completely different from a 4-year university to a 2-year or junior college. So wherever you are, you need to know these things. And I think one of the first big differences is the amount of non-traditional students that you have in community colleges. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I know the SSA has done full presentations on this, and there are full presentations worth of material to go over. So you can go on YouTube and find what I leave out. But a couple weeks ago, I looked up the statistics at our school, and we had, I think it was 30 or 35% part-time students. So they're all non-traditional students, and then we have more. So community colleges have a big chunk of non-traditional students. And so just briefly, this is what's the qualifications of a non-traditional student. They either take a break after high school, or they work full-time, or they're a part-time student. Veterans are usually non-traditional students. You'll have a lot of career individuals taking continuing education that are non-traditional students. Our organization is probably, 30 to 50% non-traditional students. I'm a non-traditional student. I've been schooling part-time and working full-time pretty much since I started, so you need to find ways to work with these students that have varying schedules, varying needs. So one way to do this is kind of mix up your meeting and event times. Don't always have everything you do throughout the semester happen on Thursday. Maybe every once in a while have, do your evening meetings, and then maybe have like at once a month do a regular meeting, but during the daytime, so you're getting the some of your students who are maybe taking night classes who can come during the day. Try to mix it up and see if you can get a little bit more of the people who are interested in the group but can't make certain times, because you're going to have a lot of working students that have very difficult schedules to move around. Directly advertise to different demographics like veterans, parents, things like that. I mean, there's a lot of material you can get from the MAAF, the Military Atheists and Agnostics and Freethinkers. Is that it? Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of material. The SSA has great pamphlets you can get from them for just about anything. So try to reach out to these different sorts of students that you'll have, and it'll make your group, look a lot more welcoming, and you'll get a lot more membership from that. And finally, find if there's any non-school secular groups in the community, and work closely with them, because you may not be able to get a lot of the real people who are attending your school, a lot of the adults and career individuals. You may not be able to get them to some of your events, but if you can be that kind of bridge to these community events, to community groups that focus more on people who are out of school, then they'll remember that, and even if they're not coming to you, people who have jobs have money, and they will turn around and remember that. We've done a bit of work with, we've got a Fellowship of Free Thought and like the Metroplex Atheists, and to the Further Reason Rally, we got, $300, $400 to help us get to the Reason Rally from one of these groups, because we talk to them a lot, we work with them. So it's very important to keep in mind the other groups in the area that aren't connected with your school when you're thinking about non-traditional students. And while we're on the subject of making connections, this kind of comes back to how we often forget about the community colleges. Most people seem to have in their heads that you go high school, university, then you're a real person, you get a job. So just example, those are all the high schools in our area and most of the universities in our area. But it doesn't work that way for a lot of students. Most of you raise your hand saying that you've attended a community college. It goes, a lot of students go, high school, community college, university, and then a lot of students go university, community college, and back and forth and back and forth. Generally not community college to high school, but ignore those areas. But you need to communicate between all these different levels of school. The universities need to, if you've got a community college in your area that doesn't have a group or that has a group that's struggling, universities need to reach out to them, because a lot of community college students are going to go to one of the close by universities after a couple of years. So if you're reaching out and helping them, they're going to remember that and think about your school, think about going into your group. So it may take time away from you, but in the end it'll be of benefit to you. You'll get that much more membership of these people coming out of the junior schools. And universities and community colleges both need to talk to high schools. Community colleges need to be talking to universities. There needs to be a good flow between all of these. Kevin's done a lot of great work in our area getting groups to talk to each other. Yay, Kevin. But yeah, so opening up communication and helping everybody out in your area is, I can't explain how much benefit that is, because you need to remember it's not just about your school's group, it's about the movement as a whole. So moving on. Going back to thinking about your environment, you can use your groups. Everybody's groups say your school requires you to have like a constitution or a purpose or a mission statement. Does everybody just like get to jump into it and do whatever they want? But you can kind of reflect sort of how you're going to interact with your school's environment through your purpose. When setting up new groups, a big question for a lot of secular groups is: do we want to be more social community? Do we want to have a more activist purpose? And so I've got a fun little. How do I go back? Yes. Okay. So this is kind of the, yes, penguins. It came up on Google image search when I typed in social something. So this is kind of the question that's on a lot of people's minds when they want to start a new group. And you really don't need to choose one or the other. It's always best to have a little bit of a mix. My personal advice, just being at a community college for so long, is that your community colleges have a very much less social environment than four-year universities. You've got students are there, a couple of years, they want to get their basics out and go home. A lot of online students, people aren't thinking about, fraternity, sorority, student groups when they're in community college. So I always see that as kind of a demand to be met. If you lean more towards the social side, you'll be providing that atmosphere that's lacking in your school for these students to take part in. So just to give you a little example, here is a bit from our group's constitution. And you see right up front we've got, our purpose, number one, is provide a community for atheists, agnostics, etc. And then organized activity is still a bit more social. It's not till you get to, 3 and 4 that we actually really just 3, that we kind of mention activism in any way. So our primary goal is to provide a social community to fill that gap in the community college environment. But we still want to provide some opportunities for activism should your students want to engage. Because, especially in community colleges, a lot of people don't want to get that involved in activism. So provide opportunities, but don't push people to go there. Don't make that everything you're doing. Our main focus, we do a lot of, going out to dinner, parties, stuff like that. But Rick Santorum recently came to our city, and so for one meeting it was, you can either stay and have game night, or you can come hold signs and protest the Santorum rally. And so the people who didn't care to get too involved stayed and played games, and they had fun, and then some of us went out to the rally. So again, focus on the social, but allow people to be activists. And then to pretty much the final and probably the biggest problem that you're going to face in a community college is your membership turnover. And it's actually kind of coincidental timing that this is going on right now, because we're kind of in probably this fall is going to be the make or break point of our group. Kevin, you should have covered your ears for that. No, but it's looking well, but just for us, because we're having so much turnover this coming fall, it's going to be interesting. But given that community colleges, you've got students there for usually 2 years or less, you have a lot higher turnover rate than your average university. So you run into this problem that literally every summer you're going to have probably half your members leave. There's no going around that. So this is a little chart of your problems. You've got, students there for 1 or 2 years. So generally you're going to lose a couple over the winter break if you guys do the semester system. I know some of them do quarters. I'm not sure how that works. But mostly you're going to lose a lot over the summer. And oddly enough, it's the members that you really don't want to lose that move on more quickly, because it tends to be the people that are really committed to your group and do a lot of work are also really committed to their academics and want to get out of community college. And so it's going to be a pain every spring semester when they leave. So first piece of advice, please don't try to stop students' academic progress. Don't be that guy saying, oh, you can wait another year to stay and help us out. You don't really need the bachelor's degree. Get an associate's. Yeah. So yeah, please, for the love of various flying spaghetti monster and other deities, do not try to stop them from leaving. Let them go, because they will get pissed at you if you try. So I've got a fun little chart that this is really what any group should be doing, but it's absolutely crucial for two-year schools, is that when you get to your spring semester, find out who is leaving for sure and who is pretty sure they're leaving. Figure out who's going to be there the next semester and who's going to be gone. And spend the very end of your spring semester and your summer planning your fall semester. And plan all of it, as much as you possibly can. Because you need to spend your fall semester recruiting like crazy. And getting the new students in who've come either out of universities or come up from high school. You need to be recruiting, and getting new people so that, I don't know, by the time you have your elections, whenever you do them, like middle semester or in the following semester, you've got some new people who are now committed and who can jump into those vacant leadership spots. And then when you come to the end of your fall semester, start planning for the spring. Come spring, recruit some more, and then come the end of the spring, after your headache clears, get back to planning your fall semester. And just keep doing this. Should be your pattern every year. And like I said, this is what any group should be doing, but it's absolutely critical that you're doing it at a community college. It's really what it takes for a four-year school to be good is what it takes for a community college group to survive. That's the bad news, that you have the cards stacked against you tremendously. But you can succeed. We've done it so far. So I've got 4 minutes left. If you guys have questions or anybody. And I have a question for you. Oh, go ahead.
Have you had much experience with inter-community college communication? Like, is your like in Colorado, we have 4 different colleges under the same branding, like community college, but they have different campuses.
The way we have it set up, we've got 4 different campuses in our county, which are all part of the same school. It's been actually really tough for us because we've had every once in a while 1 or 2 people will show some interest from the other campuses, but it's never been enough to set up like another group at that campus. We try to get them to come to our events and sometimes have events a little closer to those campuses. But really it's going to depend on what kind of interest you can drum up at your other locations. We've tried to do, they have orientations every fall, so we'll try to get over there at the other campuses, but the campus we're at is by far the biggest and has the most students, so I don't know how it's laid out there, but you just kind of have to work with where the largest amounts of students are and where all the interest is coming from.
Well, yeah, you do not want to have the same officers working at every campus. You just can't.
Yeah, that's going to, they're going to burn out and come after you. So any...
So your tips on, it seemed like recruiting was, showed up a lot there. Do you have any tips on recruiting to be successful?
Were you here for the tabling presentation? You should have seen that. That was really great.
We will put the video of that online.
Yeah, there's... I mean, I can talk a little bit with you maybe after about kind of how to recruit, but that's a full presentation's worth of material. And again, I guess my main advice would be kind of know the way your school works and the rules that whatever student union or student life department, whatever controls the student group, and do everything you can within those rules to get new members. Oh yeah, and publicize the shit out of your group. Like, you need to plaster if a lot of schools don't have dorms, but you need to like plaster the hallways with signs for your group. So any other questions? All right, I have a question for you. What would be a good like witty title for this? Because I could not think of anything. It's just apparently community colleges aren't funny.
Organizing on campus groups is like organizing at a bus stop. It's like organizing at something even.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Have a picture
All right.
of the community cast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh well, I'll think about that one. But yeah, I guess that's about time, so thanks for watching.